In the US, 1 in 54 kids have autism, making it one of the most prevalent developmental disabilities in America. The disorder is more common than childhood cancer, congenital heart diseases, and diabetes combined. It's a disorder that comes with a wide range of life-altering symptoms and challenges that make living in this confusing world just that much harder. But do we even understand what it truly is? Almost everyone has a general idea of what autism is, but the extent at which each person actually understands it and what the struggles those with autism face varies. When asked what autism is, many people would describe it as some kind of brain issue that causes people with it to be highly antisocial, lack communication ability, and act or look different than those who are neurotypical. Although this understanding of autism does get some parts correct, limiting your knowledge of the disorder to a simple outlook such as this is like thinking you know how to drive a car after learning to press the gas pedal. Now, if you don't quite understand what autism is, or would describe it similarly to the example put earlier in the video, you may be sitting in your chair freaking out and feeling bad because a huge chunk of the population has autism and you don't know much about it or the issues that revolve around the disorder. But have no fear, you're not alone. A 2017 study showed that although 88% of participants felt as if they knew what autism is, only 9% felt confident in their actual understanding of autism, and a majority of the sample felt as if their grasp of what autism truly was weak. Well, we can start by gaining knowledge on and tearing down one of the largest misconceptions around it, which is that there's a mold that each autistic person must fit into. This stigma of autism is harmful because autism is a spectrum disorder, meaning that each person diagnosed with it is impacted differently and expresses different symptoms and severity. Each autistic person has a different placement on the spectrum that ranges from severe to high functioning depending on the amount of support they require and their symptoms. Despite this, many people only know of the stereotypical autistic kid, the one that fits the mold and falls on the more severe side of the spectrum, which is understandable. The media and our society picks and chooses what parts of autism to inform others about, and non-mold-fitting symptoms often aren't things people are told or shown. This leaves high-functioning autistics, almost half, 44% of the ASD community, overlooked and often misunderstood due to the fact that their disorder isn't very apparent to most, even though their autism still impacts them. So, how does one go about defining autism in a way that accurately explains that there's a list of symptoms so long that it could replace the text at the beginning of a Star Wars movie and still be the same length in the span of 5 minutes? Lucky for you, it won't be via the format of a scrolling bar of text going 50 miles per hour. Instead, we will just cover a part of autism. This video isn't about knowing everything there is to know about autism. It's about trying to further understand autistic people and the issues they face. Communication and social interaction issues are prevalent in everyone who has autism to some capacity, and can provide key examples of how those with autism not only function differently than us, but also how their symptoms can create problems for them down the line. Autistic people often see the world through a different lens than us and are trapped in their own bubble. This means that they struggle to see others' point of views or outside of their own perspective, making things like a simple conversation feel impossible to navigate. This can make those with autism come off as inconsiderate or blunt because they don't always understand how their actions will impact others. This struggle bleeds into those with autism's understanding of social cues too. One prime example of this is the struggle with nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication encompasses the parts of conversation we often don't think about, like maintaining eye contact and reading facial expressions, two things that autistic people often struggle to do. Now, I know this is kind of odd to think about because using signals such as these are ingrained into how we better understand others and the messages they're trying to convey. To help wrap your head around it, try this. Look at the person next to you and make eye contact with them. They probably have a mask on, so it's a bit hard to read their expression. Now, try making eye contact with their nose. This is where some autistic people look to avoid eye contact. How easy is it to read their face now? Lastly, imagine if they were wearing sunglasses. At this point, it becomes almost impossible to know what the other person is feeling just by looking at them. This is an example of the troubles autistic people face at various levels of severity when attempting to communicate with and understand others. Autistic children have to put in a vast amount of effort to connect with others and often stray away from the hassle due to the amount of rejection they get from children that don't understand that they're different. 42% of parents to autistic kids report that their child has no friends, compared to only 1% of parents reporting the same in neurotypical children. Imagine living your life in solitary at the age of 5 and having no idea why no one wants to play with you. Or living as an outcast now in high school and feeling like you aren't good enough for those around you. Feeling socially isolated is something we've all experienced, but for neurotypicals, there's usually a light at the end of the tunnel. We make friends and build connections to overcome this hardship, but people with autism don't always have this luxury. Autistic people are 4 times more likely to feel lonely, which is a symptom that can branch into many other physical and mental problems along the road. Isolation is a huge problem amongst those with autism and can make living a day-to-day life with the disorder feel like struggling to survive. I get it. Taking on so much information at once can feel like a lot, and I didn't even cover all of autism's symptoms or the other disorders and issues that rise from it. But autism is a lot. Autism is a large, all-encompassing disorder that has a plethora of issues and challenges that rise from it. With an issue so big, our brain can sometimes shut down at the thought of solving it. We can't solve all issues autistic people face, but there's no need to feel helpless. Chain Reaction has a way that we can help those with autism at all levels of function. Legos. Although most of us know Legos as just a toy, studies have found that Legos can help those with autism in more ways than imaginable. Chain Reaction's Service Learning Project, Gifts of Hope, aims to help autistic children at Autism Pensacola overcome some of the challenges they often face with the use of Legos. The teens do this by creating packets that include an instructional booklet with all of the pieces necessary to create a fun mini-project, such as a train or cat. Building with Legos have been found to help children overcome many of the issues that correlate with executive function disorder, a disorder that almost 80% of those with autism struggle with and encompasses many skills that correlate to cognitive function. The packets don't only help with executive function skills. They can also act as the perfect solitary play or be used to help better communication skills by involving others in the building process. These Lego packets don't only help children in certain core areas of struggle, but they also let them know that there are people that are on their side. Isolation can feel impossible to break out of when you feel like you're living in a different world than everyone else, especially as a child. But a special gift that's made just for them can reignite hope and act as their light at the end of the tunnel.